Adam Clark stood at the window of the Earth Embassy on Nexus Station, watching the stars. His reflection showed a tired man in his 50s with gray hair at his temples and deep lines around his eyes. 3 years of peace, talks with the Galactic Council had aged him. He turned as Susan Powell entered the room. "They've sent the new terms," Susan said, handing him a data pad. Her brown hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her blue uniform was perfectly pressed despite the late hour. Adam read the document, and his face grew hard. "They can't be serious." "Dead serious," Susan replied. "Complete dismantling of our defense fleet within 6 months. Withdrawal from the Epsilon sector. Surrender of our phase shield technology." Adam tossed the pad onto his desk. "While they continue to violate our borders? While the Dralid ships push further into our space each month?" "That's not all," Susan said, her voice quiet. "Our intelligence team intercepted communications between the Dralid and their research outposts. We have proof they're developing a biological weapon that targets human DNA." Adam looked at her sharply. "Are you certain?" "Yes. We tried to include this evidence in our reports to the Council 3 times. Each time it was dismissed as insufficient or manipulated." Adam walked to the large window again. Below, the massive ring structure of Nexus Station curved, away into the distance, housing representatives from over 200 alien species. The Galactic Council had existed for thousands of years before humans made first contact. Earth had been trying to gain equal standing for decades. "They never intended to treat us as equals," Adam said. Susan stood beside him. "Earth Command wants to know if we should continue the talks. They're willing to offer more trade concessions." Adam shook his head. "No, I've made my decision. Prepare the team for immediate departure." "Sir, we're leaving. Today. Now." Susan's eyes widened. "Without warning, the diplomatic backlash, it will be severe," Adam finished. "But we've tried reason for 3 years, we've tried evidence, we've tried compromise. They see it all as weakness." Susan was quiet for a moment. "The Admiral should know. I'll contact Earth Command." "Don't use regular channels," Adam warned. "The Council monitors everything." "I'll use our secure link," Susan said. "What should I tell them?" "Tell them to activate Protocol Winter Shield. All colonies on high alert. All ships to defensive positions." Susan nodded and left to make the call. Adam sat at his desk and wrote a brief message to the Council. His fingers paused over the send button. Once he did this, there was no going back. He pressed it firmly and stood up. 20 minutes later, Adam and his team of 6 walked into the Grand Council chamber. The room was enormous, with a domed ceiling showing a real-time map of the galaxy. The central table was curved in a half-circle, with 7 alien representatives seated along it. High Counselor Xerix, a tall blue-skinned being with facial tentacles that moved with his emotions, nodded as the humans entered. "Ambassador Clark, we had not expected you until tomorrow's session." Adam remained standing instead of taking his seat. Susan and the rest of the human team stood behind him in a line. "This won't take long," Adam said. His voice echoed in the large chamber. "I've reviewed your latest terms." "Excellent," said Counselor Meven, a small green being with large eyes. "We feel these are quite reasonable given—" "They are not reasonable," Adam interrupted. "They are insulting." The council members looked at each other in surprise. Humans were known for their politeness in diplomatic settings. "Ambassador, Xerix," began, his tentacles stiffening. "These terms reflect the consensus of the council. Your borders are secure, despite your claims of incursions. Humanity has extended every possible courtesy," Adam said, his voice eerily calm. "We've made concessions on mining rights, adjusted our expansion timelines, and even agreed to share our medical advancements without compensation. But demanding we dismantle our defense fleet while your border incursions continue is not negotiation. It's subjugation." Susan moved to stand beside Adam. The other human delegates began gathering their materials. "The terms as presented are unacceptable," Adam continued. "Earth Command has authorized me to inform you that we are withdrawing from these talks effective immediately." Silence fell over the chamber. Even the ambient sounds of the station seemed to fade away. Jirix's facial tentacles trembled. Ambassador Clark, surely we can— 3 years, Susan interrupted, checking her wristcom. We've been at this table for 3 years while Drylid ships test our borders. We've brought evidence of biological weapons development targeting humans, which you've dismissed without investigation. We're done talking. Adam turned to leave, the human delegation following him. You cannot simply walk away, Meven called out. The consequences will be significant, Adam said without turning around. For all of us. As the doors closed behind the humans, the council erupted in confused discussion. They're bluffing, Meven said. Humans always bluff. It's their way of gaining leverage. Jirix wasn't so sure. We should offer some concessions. Perhaps the defense fleet requirements were too severe. In the corner of the chamber sat an ancient being with multi-layered compound eyes. The Vorlaxian representative rarely spoke, but when he did, the council listened. You fools, the Vorlaxian said, his voice like dry leaves. Do you not understand what just happened? They'll be back, Meven insisted. Where else can they go? They need our trade routes, our technology. The Vorlaxian's eyes narrowed. I have witnessed 17 species join this council over my lifetime. Only the humans have ever walked away from negotiations. He stood up, his joints creaking. The last species who thought humans were bluffing no longer exists. Jirix's tentacles went limp with concern. What do you suggest? Prepare, the Vorlaxian said simply. The humans didn't leave because they are weak. They left because they no longer need our permission. On the human transport vessel, Susan sat across from Adam as they left Nexus Station. Communications blackout is in effect, she reported. All human diplomatic personnel are withdrawing from Council space. Earth Command confirms Protocol Winter Shield is activated. Adam looked at the disappearing station through the viewport. How long until the defensive grid is fully operational? 2 weeks for the core systems, a month for the outer colonies. Adam nodded. They'll realize soon enough what's happening. The Drylid will push harder once they see we're preparing. And if the Council actually investigates our evidence about the bioweapon? Too late for that, Adam said. We gave them 3 years to listen. Now, they'll have to watch. As their ship entered jump space, Adam thought about the billions of humans, counting on him to have made the right choice. Walking out had been a risk, but staying would have been surrender. The Galactic Council had just learned their first lesson about humanity. Peace was always preferred, but never at the cost of survival. 2 weeks passed since the humans walked out of the peace talks. In that time, not a single message had come from Earth or any human colony. The usual flow of trade ships stopped. Human outposts across Council space emptied overnight. It was as if humanity had vanished. Counselor Exal paced nervously in the monitoring chamber on Nexus Station. The blue-skinned alien's forearms moved in different nervous patterns as he watched the screens. Each showed different views of human space, but all displayed the same thing. Nothing. It's been 2 weeks, Exal said to the technicians. Why? Haven't they made any statements? Where are their warships? The lead technician, a tall insect-like being, clicked her mandibles in frustration. We don't know, Counselor. Our long-range sensors are experiencing interference when directed at human territory. The few scout ships we sent to the border never reported back. Disappeared? Exal asked, alarmed. Unknown. They simply stopped transmitting. High Counselor. Jirix entered the room, his face tentacles tight against his cheeks in what those familiar with his species recognized as extreme stress. The Drylid ambassador demands to know what we're doing about the humans, Jirix said. They claim 3 of their border patrols have vanished near human space. Convenient that they suddenly admit to having border patrols in human territory, Exal muttered. Jirix ignored the comment. Have we made any progress? The technician gestured at the screens. None, High Counselor. Human space has gone dark. No communications, no ship movements, nothing. They're planning something, Jirix said. The Vorlaxian was right. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Admiral Linda Wright stood in a hardened command center. Hundreds of officers moved around her with purpose. Giant screens showed ship movements across 12 star systems. Linda was a tall woman with short blonde hair and a stern face that rarely smiled these days. She studied the main display showing the progress of humanity's preparations. Commander Greg Phillips approached her. He was younger than Linda, with dark skin and a closely trimmed beard. His uniform bore the insignia of Fleet Intelligence. "Admiral, all manufacturing centers have switched to military production," Greg reported. "Civilian ships are being retrofitted with weapon systems as we speak. The new shield technology has been distributed to all outposts." Linda nodded. "And Project Mantle? Ready for deployment. All 18 satellites are in position around Earth and the main colonies. Once activated, the energy field will make it impossible for anyone to launch a surprise attack." Linda looked at another screen showing Dralid fleet movements. "They're getting bolder, testing our borders more frequently." "They think our silence means weakness," Greg said. "Let them," Linda replied. "How long until the defense grid is fully operational?" 3 more days. We've been working around the clock. On the distant colony world of Proxima Centauri B, Chief Engineer Paul Martinez supervised the final stages of the planet's defense system. The massive underground installation hummed with energy as technicians ran final checks on the equipment. Paul was a short man with a thick mustache and clever eyes. He had been a mining engineer before the crisis, but like many civilians, he now served in the defense forces. Olivia Bell, his assistant, approached with a tablet showing test results. She was young, barely 30, with red hair tied back in a practical ponytail. "The shield generators are at 98% efficiency," she reported. "Better than we hoped." Paul nodded in approval. "And the weapon platforms?" "Fully operational. The old mining lasers work perfectly as defense cannons. Around them, colonial militia groups trained in the large underground chambers. Farmers, teachers, construction workers, and other civilians now held advanced weapons and wore simple uniforms. "The Council thinks our strength is in our fleet," Paul said to Olivia as they watched the training. "They have no idea what humanity can do when pushed." Olivia looked at the ordinary people preparing to defend their homes. "Do you think it will come to war?" Paul's face grew serious. "I hope not. But if it does, we'll be ready." Back in the council chambers on Nexus Station, the 7 representatives argued amongst themselves. The elegant room, designed for calm discussion, now echoed with raised voices. "We should offer concessions," insisted Xerix. "The humans clearly felt cornered by our demands." "And appear weak," countered Meven, the small green counselor. "They're just humans. Their only advantage was surprise during the Krell conflict. They'll come crawling back once their economy feels the pressure of isolation." The Dralid representative, a tall reptilian being named Screeth, hissed in disagreement. "We should send a battle group to their main colony worlds, show them the consequences of disrespect." The ancient Vorlaxian sat silently, his compound eyes reflecting the light as he listened to the foolish debate. "Have you learned nothing?" he finally said, his quiet voice somehow cutting through the arguments. The chamber fell silent. "The humans didn't leave because they were insulted," the Vorlaxian continued. "They left because they discovered something that made continuing talks pointless." Screeth shifted uncomfortably. "What nonsense is this?" The Vorlaxian turned his ancient eyes to the Dralid. "Perhaps you could tell us about your research stations in the Epsilon sector, the ones working on biological agents that target human genetic structures." The chamber grew very still. Screeth's scales darkened in the equivalent of a blush. "I don't know what you mean," the Dralid said. "I think you do," the Vorlaxian replied. "And so did the humans. That's why they left." Xerix looked between them, in alarm. "Is this true? Were the humans telling the truth about bioweapons?" Before Screeth could respond, a junior aide rushed into the chamber. "High Counselor, we're detecting massive energy signatures from human space." "What kind of energy signatures?" Xerix demanded. "Like nothing we've seen before. Our scientists say it's similar to shield technology, but on a scale that shouldn't be possible." On Earth, Linda Wright stood before a wall of screens displaying all human-controlled systems. She picked up a communication device that would broadcast to every military installation across human territory. "This is Admiral Wright. Commence Operation Shield Wall. Across human space, thousands of previously hidden defense platforms activated simultaneously. On Earth's moon, what had appeared to be simple research stations opened massive hangar doors as sleek warships emerged. In orbit around every human colony, defensive satellites powered up, creating an energy web that would detect and track any approaching vessel. On the colony world New Haven, Governor Jeff Peterson watched from a command bunker as massive artillery platforms rose from hidden underground chambers. "Send the message to all human world," he ordered the communications officer. "We're not starting this fight, but we're damn well going to finish it." In the depths of space, at the edge of human territory, a Dralid scout ship approached what appeared to be empty space. As it crossed an invisible line, alarms blared on its bridge. "Captain," called the sensor operator, "energy spike directly ahead." Before the captain could order a retreat, 3 human warships appeared out of nowhere, their stealth systems deactivated. They surrounded the Dralid vessel in seconds. The human ships sent a simple message: "You have entered restricted space. Turn back immediately or be destroyed." The Dralid ship quickly reversed course. Humanity was ready. The Human Defense Network had been active for 1 week. During that time, all human diplomatic outposts across galactic space shut down. No warnings, no evacuations. Human personnel simply vanished overnight, leaving empty buildings behind. The Council's first indication that something bigger was happening came when 3 Dralid battle groups disappeared near the border of human space. In the emergency session of the Galactic Council, panic had replaced the usual calm discussion. The elegant chamber felt small and crowded as additional military advisors joined the meeting. 3 battle groups. "Just gone," shouted Meven, the small green counselor. His large eyes blinked rapidly in distress. 5,000 crew members, 36 warships. High Counselor Xerix tried to maintain order. "We need facts, not panic. Commander Vex, report what we know." Dralid Commander Vex stepped forward. The tall reptilian wore an elaborate uniform with many medals. His scales were dark with stress. The battle groups were performing standard patrol duties along the human border, Vex said, avoiding mention that these patrols were actually in disputed territory. "And?" prompted Xerix. "They've gone dark. All communication channels have been silent for 7 days. Our long-range scanners detect no debris, no energy signatures, nothing." High Counselor Xerix's facial tentacles twisted in concern. "And what about human territory? Have we detected any military movements?" "Impenetrable," Vex admitted. "Some kind of interference is blocking our long-range scans. We've lost all spy satellites in human space. It's as if someone drew a curtain across their entire territory." The ancient Vorlaxian representative spoke up. "They are preparing." "For what?" demanded Skreeth, the Dralid representative. "They have no cause for aggression." The Vorlaxians' compound eyes seemed to look through Skreeth. "Don't they?" Before the argument could continue, an aide rushed into the chamber. "High Counselor, we've received a message from human space." Xerix straightened. "From Ambassador Clark?" "No, High Counselor. It's from Admiral Linda Wright of Earth Command." "Display it," ordered Xerix. A large screen appeared in the center of the chamber. The image showed a stern-faced human woman in a military uniform with short blonde hair. "This is Admiral Linda Wright of Earth Command addressing the Galactic Council," she began. Her voice was calm but cold. "For 3 years, humanity attempted peaceful resolution of our differences. For 3 years, we provided evidence of Dralid, aggression, and bioweapon development. For 3 years, you ignored us." The council members exchanged worried glances. "We have now confirmed beyond doubt that the Dralid Empire has developed a pathogen specifically designed to target human DNA. We have also confirmed that they plan to release this bioweapon in human colonies within the next 30 days. Skreeth started to protest, but Xerix silenced him with a gesture. "The missing Dralid battle groups were not on patrol," Linda continued. "They were preparing to deploy the bioweapon. They have been detained. Their crews are unharmed. The bioweapon has been contained." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. "Earth Command has activated our defensive network across all human territories. We are not seeking war, but we will defend ourselves. We request the Council open an immediate investigation into Dralid bioweapon research and hold those responsible accountable. The message ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. Meven recovered first. "This is human propaganda. They've always been paranoid about the Dralid," Screeth hissed angrily. "This is an act of war. They've captured Imperial vessels, the Forlaxian stood slowly. "The humans would not make such claims without evidence. I suggest we verify their accusations before more blood is shed." Xerix nodded. "I agree. We will send an independent team to investigate the Dralid research stations in the Epsilon sector." Screeth's scales darkened in anger. "The Empire will not allow—" "The Empire is not being given a choice," Xerix interrupted, his tentacles rigid with authority. "If these accusations are false, you have nothing to fear." In her command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Linda Wright reviewed final preparations with her senior staff. "The message has been delivered," reported Communications Officer Beth Taylor. "No response yet," Linda nodded, unsurprised. "And the Dralid prisoners?" Colonel Nancy Baker, a tall woman with brown skin and short black hair, checked her tablet. "Contained in the orbital facility near Saturn. They're being treated well, as ordered." "Any signs of additional Dralid movements?" Linda asked. "Nothing. Yet," answered Commander Greg Phillips. "But our intelligence suggests they're mobilizing their main fleet. They still think this is about the border disputes. They have no idea we discovered their bioweapon research months ago." "The Council genuinely might not know what the Dralid were planning," suggested Beth. "Their message seemed genuinely surprised." "Then, they should have listened when we tried to tell them," Linda replied. Her face softened slightly. "But you're right. Our quarrel isn't with the entire Council, just the Dralid and anyone who helped them." A junior officer approached with a message. Linda read it and her expression hardened again. "The Dralid aren't waiting for the Council investigation. They've launched their reserve fleet, heading directly for Eden Colony." Greg's eyes widened. "That's our largest agricultural world, over 2 million civilians." Linda's voice became ice. "Commence Operation Thunderclap. All ships to battle stations. Alert Eden Colony to activate their defense grid." Across human space, thousands of hidden defense platforms fully activated. Earth's moon opened additional hangar doors as another wave of warships launched. On Eden Colony, a peaceful world of rolling fields and small towns, citizens rushed to underground shelters as warning sirens sounded. Governor Jeff Peterson coordinated from his command bunker. "All civilians proceeding to shelters," reported his security chief. "Defense grid at full power." Jeff nodded grimly. "The Dralid think we're an easy target. They're about to learn otherwise." In orbit above Eden, where there had appeared to be nothing but a few small defense satellites, a massive energy field suddenly shimmered into view. As the field stabilized, dozens of human warships appeared, dropping their stealth fields. The small agricultural world now bristled with defenses. In deep space, the Dralid fleet approached. 80 warships in tight formation, led by the massive dreadnought Imperial Claw. On its bridge, Admiral Zex watched the tactical display with confidence. "Time to target?" he asked. 4 hours to Eden Colony, Admiral," replied his first officer. "No significant defenses detected. Their orbital stations are minimal." Zex showed his sharp teeth in a satisfied smile. "The humans have spread themselves too thin. Once we take Eden, they'll be forced back to the negotiating table." His tactical officer suddenly shouted in alarm. "Admiral, energy spike ahead. Massive readings appearing around Eden." The view screen showed a shimmer of energy resolving into a protective shield around the entire planet. Where empty space had been moments before, dozens of human warships now appeared. "Impossible," whispered Zex. "Where did they come from?" A communication came through. The face of a human male appeared on screen. Governor Jeff Peterson looked directly at the Dralid Admiral. "Dralid Fleet, this is Eden Colony. You are entering protected space. Reverse course immediately or be destroyed." Admiral Zex hissed in anger. "We will not be threatened by farmers. Continue approach. Prepare main weapons." As the Dralid fleet moved forward, the human ships formed a battle line. The first shots of a new war were about to be fired. The battle above Eden Colony lasted only 23 minutes. It was not the victory Admiral Zex of the Drawlead Empire had promised his crews. As the Drawlead fleet approached, the human ships did something unexpected. Instead of forming a defensive line, they split into small groups and darted between the larger Drawlead vessels. Their advanced shield technology allowed them to absorb the initial Drawlead attacks with minimal damage. From his command chair on the Imperial Claw, Admiral Zex watched in growing horror as his carefully organized battle formation fell apart. Target the lead human vessel, he ordered. We can't get a lock, Admiral, his weapons officer replied, panic in his voice. They're moving too fast and using some kind of jamming technology. On one of the human ships, Captain Sam Wilson gave calm orders, as his vessel wove between two Drawlead cruisers. Bring us alongside the larger vessel, he told his pilot. Ready phase cannons. Phase cannons charged, Captain, the weapons officer reported. Fire. Brilliant blue energy beams struck the Drawlead cruiser. Instead of exploding against the shields, as expected, the beams passed right through them and struck the hull directly. The Drawlead ship's engines went dark as its power systems failed. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated as human weapons bypassed Drawlead defenses. Within minutes, 30 Drawlead ships drifted powerless, not destroyed but disabled. Admiral Zex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half the fleet neutralized? How is this possible? A communication came through on the main screen. Governor, Jeff Peterson's face appeared, now joined by a human military officer. Admiral Zex, Peterson said. Your fleet is defeated. Power down your remaining vessels or we will be forced to destroy them. Never, Zex snarled. The Empire does not surrender. The military officer spoke next. This is Colonel Nancy Baker, of Earth Command. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Our weapons can bypass yours. You've lost 38 ships without a single human casualty. Surrender now. Zex cut the communication. Prepare the Dreadnought's main cannon. Target their largest settlement on the surface. His first officer looked shocked. Admiral, there are millions of civilians. Do it, Zex hissed. If we cannot win, we will make them pay. As the massive weapon began to charge, sensors detected a new energy signature appearing directly above the Imperial Claw. A human vessel twice the size of any seen before decloaked. It was the EFS Defender, Earth's newest battleship. Before the Drawlead dreadnought could fire, the human battleship released a concentrated pulse of energy. The pulse washed over the Imperial Claw, causing its systems to short out one by one. The massive main cannon powered down as emergency lights flickered across the Drawlead vessel. Within seconds, the pride of the Drawlead fleet floated powerless. Admiral Zex stared at the dead controls in stunned silence. The Battle of Eden colony was over. News of the Drawlead defeat spread quickly across the galaxy. In the council chamber on Nexus Station, the representatives received the reports with varying reactions. The humans defeated 80 Drawlead warships without destroying a single vessel, Exal reported, his four arms gesturing in excitement. They simply disabled them all. High Counselor Xerix's facial tentacles quivered in amazement. How? Drawlead shields are among the most advanced in the galaxy. The humans use some kind of phase shift technology, Exal explained. Their weapons passed right through the Drawlead shields as if they weren't there. Screeth, the Drawlead representative, was notably absent from the chamber. Reports indicated he had fled Nexus Station shortly after news of the defeat reached him. And what of the investigation team? Asked Xerix. They reached the Drawlead research stations in the Epsilon sector, Exal said, his voice growing serious. High Counselor, they confirmed everything the humans claimed. They found evidence of advanced bioweapon development specifically designed to target human DNA. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Drawlead were planning genocide, the Vorlaxian elder said quietly, and we nearly helped them by demanding humans disarm. Panic erupted as a new message arrived from human space. This wasn't Admiral Wright or any military officer. It was Ambassador Adam Clark, requesting to address the council immediately. Let him speak, Xerix ordered. The large screen displayed Adam Clark still in the same diplomatic uniform he'd worn weeks earlier. His face showed no triumph, only a serious determination. "Members of the Galactic Council," Adam began. "I speak to you not as a victor in battle, but as the representative of a people who wish only to live in peace." The council members watched, in silence. 3 Dralid battle groups have been captured with bioweapons ready for deployment against human worlds. Another 80 ships have been disabled at Eden Colony when they attempted to attack a civilian population center. All Dralid crew members are being treated according to galactic humanitarian laws. Adam paused, letting the information sink in. "We tried to warn you about the Dralid bioweapon program aimed at human genetic structures. You dismissed our evidence. So yes, we walked out. Not to prepare for war, but to survive what we knew was coming." On screens around the chamber, footage began playing showing Dralid research facilities with clear evidence of bioweapon development. Laboratory notes, test results, and deployment plans appeared one after another. "We've neutralized the immediate threat," Adam continued, "but now humanity requires answers. Was this sanctioned by the Council, or were you simply incompetent in your oversight?" Susan Powell, now wearing military insignia, stepped into view beside Adam. She held a data crystal. "This contains evidence that 3 Council races knew of the program," Susan said. "The Dralid, of course, but also the Voltar and the Kreth governments. We expect those representatives to be removed immediately and held accountable." The Voltar and Kreth representatives began to protest, but fell silent as footage showed their private meetings with Dralid bioweapon scientists. "Humanity doesn't want war," Adam said quietly. "But we are no longer asking for peace, we're demanding it." Back on Earth, Linda Wright watched the transmission from her command center. Greg Phillips stood beside her. "Do you think they'll agree to our terms?" Greg asked. Linda's expression remained guarded. "The guilty ones won't have a choice. The evidence is overwhelming. And the rest of the council? They've just discovered that humans have technology they never suspected," Linda said. "They've seen what we can do when threatened. I think they'll suddenly find cooperation very appealing." In the observation room overlooking the holding cells where the captured Dralid officers were kept, Dr. Alan Ross studied the bioweapon samples, recovered from the Dralid ships. As Earth's leading expert on biological threats, he had been horrified by what he found. The delivery mechanism was brilliant, he told his assistant. It would have spread through every human world within weeks. 97% mortality rate. "How close were they to releasing it?" the assistant asked. Alan looked grim. "Days. If we hadn't walked out when we did, if we hadn't prepared." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Across human space, citizens emerged from shelters to news of the victory. The war had been swift and decisive, yet there was little celebration. They had come too close to extinction for comfort. Now humanity waited for the Council's response. The galaxy was about to change forever. 6 months passed since the Battle of Eden Colony. The galaxy had changed in ways few had imagined possible. Adam Clark stood once again before the Galactic Council, but the chamber looked different now. The curved table had been replaced with a circular one, symbolizing the new equality among all members. 4 of the former council races were missing, their representatives removed after evidence of their involvement in the bioweapon plot. In their places sat representatives from species who had previously been denied full membership, including a delegate from the Tellurian Confederation, longtime allies of Earth. High Counselor Xerix had resigned. In his place sat a Tellurian named Calyx, whose species had suffered from similar discrimination in the past. "Ambassador Clark," Calyx began, his crystalline features catching the light, "the Reformed Council welcomes Earth's delegation. We are prepared to discuss the terms for humanity's return to the galactic community." Adam nodded, his face serious, but without the cold anger it had shown 6 months before. Susan Powell stood beside him, along with a new member of the Earth delegation, Kate Johnson, a woman in her 40s with silver streaks in her dark hair. She was Earth's new science minister. "The human defense perimeter will remain active," Adam explained to the council. But we're prepared to resume normal trade and diplomatic relations under the revised charter. Calyx nodded solemnly. The galaxy owes humanity an apology that words cannot adequately express. The conspirators have been dealt with according to your terms. Those terms had been firm but fair. The Dralid Empire, once a major power, had been stripped of its military capability. The scientists responsible for developing the bioweapon faced justice. The government officials who approved the plan were removed from power. Yet there had been no genocide in return, no planetary bombardments, no mass executions. Humanity had shown restraint that surprised many across the galaxy. Kate Johnson stepped forward and activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed designs for an interconnected network of monitoring stations. This is our proposal for a shared early warning system, Kate explained. Every member species will have access to the same information. This network will ensure transparency between all worlds. No hidden weapons programs, no secret fleets. An ambitious project, commented the Vorlaxian elder, the only original council member still in his position, but one with merit. We've already begun construction in human space. Kate continued. We invite council engineers to participate in completing the network. The new openness from humans was a sharp contrast to their previous secrecy. But then, that secrecy had been born of necessity. A representative from a small trading alliance spoke up. How can we be certain that humanity has revealed all of its military capabilities? The phase shift technology took the entire galaxy by surprise. Adam smiled slightly. A valid concern. That's why we're offering complete technical specifications of our defensive systems to the Council Science Division. In return, we expect the same transparency from all member worlds. This offer caused a stir among the representatives. Such an exchange of technology was unprecedented. After 4 hours of discussion, the new agreement was approved. Humanity would rejoin the galactic community as a full member, with equal standing to the oldest council races. As the session ended, the Vorlaxian elder approached Adam privately. Impressive diplomacy, Ambassador, the ancient being said. You've achieved in 6 months what others couldn't in centuries. Adam's expression was thoughtful. It shouldn't have required a near genocide to make it happen. If the council had simply listened. A lesson painfully learned, the Vorlaxian agreed. But not all of us were blind. Some of us simply lacked the influence to be heard. That's changing now, Adam said, looking at the more diverse council, members talking together. Back on Earth, cities emerged from their defensive postures. Military vessels began the process of powering down from war footing. Citizens returned to their normal lives, though with a new awareness of their place in the galaxy. In Chicago, Frank Howard sat with his wife Debbie in their backyard. Frank was a retired Marine who had been called back to service during the crisis. Now in his 60s, with gray hair and kind eyes, he was glad to be home again. They looked up at the night sky, where distant stars held worlds that most humans had never imagined visiting before. Do you think they understand us now? Debbie asked, her hand finding his. Frank considered the question. I think they finally understand that humans want peace so badly we'll fight like hell to secure it. Debbie leaned against his shoulder. And what happens next? We build something better, Frank said. Together. On the distant colony of Tau Ceti E, children returned to schools as defense platforms receded back into underground bunkers. Teacher, Michelle Lopez addressed her class of wide-eyed 8-year-olds. Who can tell me what happened when humans walked out of the peace talks? She asked. A small boy raised his hand. We showed them we were strong, Michelle smiled. Yes, but that's not the most important part of the story. Can anyone else tell me? A girl with braids in her hair spoke up. We protected ourselves without destroying everyone else. That's right, Michelle said. The most important lesson isn't how strong we are. It's knowing when to walk away and when to come back to the table. In orbit above Earth, the massive battleship EFS Defender docked with the newly constructed International Peace Station. Admiral Linda Wright watched from the observation deck as delegations from 20 alien worlds arrived for the first technology exchange conference. Commander Greg Phillips joined her. Quite a change from 6 months ago, he said. Linda nodded. We showed them our strength. Now we show them our wisdom. That's always been the real human advantage. Do you regret any of it? Greg asked. The secrecy, the preparations, all of it? Linda watched as a Tellurian ship docked alongside vessels from worlds that had once been enemies. No. Sometimes you have to be willing to walk away to create a better future. In the Council archives on Nexus Station, a new advisory was prominently displayed for all future representatives. It had been proposed by the Vorlaxian Elder and approved unanimously. When humans leave the room, the conversation isn't over. It's about to escalate. Listen carefully the first time. As human ships resumed their routes and Earth's borders reopened, to alien visitors, a new phrase entered the galactic lexicon: careful as a human treaty. Species across the stars now understood that humanity's willingness to walk away wasn't weakness. It was their most potent demonstration of strength. Next time humans sat at the peace table, everyone listened.